You need to be aware that you are comparing yourself with other people. You're comparing yourself, oh, this person has riches, or she has a very good car, he has everything seems to go well. But on the other hand, there are some things that you might have that that person does not have. You know, there's no perfect person. There is no perfect person. So be aware that you have that kind of attitude. Because if you want to change something, it starts with awareness. It starts with awareness that something has to change. And then you need to say to yourself, stop it now. Who are you comparing yourself to? Comparing yourself to others is unhealthy. It facilitates the feeling of unhappiness, insecurity, discouragement. And someone said it is a recipe to misery. Unfortunately, we find ourselves comparing ourselves um, to others, and maybe as a yardstick or as a measurement to know where we are, how we are doing in regards to our jobs, in regards to our life, in regards to our marriage. However, in this episode, I'll be talking to you about reasons why people compare themselves to other people, and how you can stop comparing yourself to others. Yeah, this is the time where I say this. If this is the first time you're joining us, you're welcome. I'm really excited that you are here. This is the Bola Adeyeye Omishade show. This is a community where we support people to identify their purpose, to answer those life big questions that have remained unanswered, to find your voice, to communicate your message, yes, and to be the best version of yourself, to be a better version of yourself. Yeah, thanks for joining us today. And do not forget to subscribe so that you do not miss our future episodes. And yes, to my returning viewers, yeah, thank you. I'm really excited that you are here again. And yes, today we're going to be having a good time having a discussion on who you are comparing yourself to and why you are comparing yourself to that person. Now, there are a lot of reasons why people compare themselves to others. Some of it is our upbringing. Some people come from homes where your parents will compare you to your brothers, your sisters, or will compare you to your friends, you see. And yes, even while growing up in school, we have all examinations and we get results, and then we compare ourselves with our peers, who is doing well, who is not doing well. And yeah, and but we get used to this nature of comparing ourselves with other people, or comparing ourselves to other people, which unfortunately makes us unhappy. It does not bear good fruit. I was thinking of a scenario of athletes, somebody who is running a race, and of course you've always been the winner. You want to stay on that win on that top position. You want to be on that winning line. And then when you're running, you know sometimes you want to look at the person coming after you, if they are catching up with you. Unfortunately, in the process of doing that, you are wasting time. You're wasting time, you're losing focus, and it does not bear good fruit, because the time you spend is the time you spend looking at the person coming behind you, instead of focusing. You're giving that person enough time to catch up with you. So why are you comparing yourself with other people? What is the point? Firstly, some people compare themselves to other people because of the fear of, am I where I'm supposed to be? Now, in the process of doing that, you lose your value. You forget what the purpose or what your purpose is. You begin to outsource your own worth because you are comparing yourself to another person. Now you begin to become a shadow of that person. You make yourself a slave to that person, and then you begin to follow every step that person takes, and then you forget your own value, and that's one reason, because of the fear. And now the other thing, another reason why people will compare themselves to other people is sort of insecurity, and that actually comes from a place of jealousy. you know you're jealous of the person. So in this case, you find some people, they meet somebody for the first time, and they're already judgmental about that person without knowing the person's real attitude, without knowing the person, who that person really is. You just conclude on the few hours or the few minutes you have spent with the person, and that comes from you comparing yourself, and it breeds jealousy. At the end, you become unhappy, the person becomes unhappy, and then you end up making more enemies instead of making friends. You see, so that's one reason why people, it comes from a place of fear, a place of insecurity. Now it also comes from a place of wanting to, when you're trying to be somebody else, and then you forget who you are. Now you have to, it comes from, it has to come from, you have to look at it in a place. If by the time you get old and you're trying to be somebody else, what would you say you have achieved on your own? What would you say? How would you say, this is who I am? Because you've literally lived all your life trying to be somebody else. You do not accept yourself for who you are. You're being somebody else's shadow, and you begin to follow that person all through. you know so in the process of trying to be somebody else, you get carried away. And then you keep wasting so much time trying to compare yourself with somebody that you only seen a tiny little bit of their life. Are you looking at the big picture? Sometimes, especially with the social media, or we see pictures. Those pictures are just tiny little bit of their life. And to be honest, people would have said this several times. People would only share their successes. They will not share their mess. They wouldn't share their weaknesses with you. And people would only discuss with you what they want you to know, what they want you to hear. So why are you comparing yourself with what you see in few minutes, what you see on pictures? And to be honest, if you're doing that, it's not really fair for you to compare yourself. I want to be this person, because you see all these vacations, you see all these words about them bringing up their children in a very good way, or about a successful marriage. Have you asked yourself, have you seen the whole picture? Have you asked yourself what effort have they put in to get to where they are? Have you put in the same effort? That is their best that you are seeing. You see their best, and you're comparing it with your own tiny little part. People get a reward for their hard work, and you want to get the same reward when you haven't put in much effort as they have. That's not fair. It is not fair. You see somebody who has a distinction in the university, and then you're jealous that the person has a distinction. You become envious, but you haven't thought of the sleepless nights, the days where they have cried, the days where they have had multiple feedbacks and gone to their lecturers. You need to think of those. So when you're comparing yourself with someone, you need to look at the picture as a whole. Unfortunately, some people, in the process of comparing themselves with others, they start to bring other people down. And that's where they start saying negative things about the person just to make themselves feel good. Yeah, those are the sort of things that happen when you start comparing yourself, because you begin to badmouth the person, and say things that you don't even know, that you're not sure about. You know, in the process of comparing yourself, because of course it breeds jealousy. Comparison breeds jealousy, it breeds envy, and then eventually you become unhappy yourself, because you've only done that to make yourself feel good, sometimes you find some people, while they're trying to compare themselves with other people, they start to share information that is not needed. They start to say things and they begin to boast and brag. It's not needed. People do not even like you bragging. They do not like you making claims that are not true, and that's because you're insecure. So why are you comparing? It's not needed. The world is big enough. Its life is too short. The world is large enough, and there's no need for comparison. There's no need for comparison. Now, if you find yourself in this situation where you are comparing yourself with somebody else, there are a couple of things I would like to suggest that you do. Firstly, you need to be aware. See, you need to be aware that you are comparing yourself with other people. You're comparing yourself, oh, this person has riches, or she has a very good car, he has everything seems to go well. But on the other hand, there are some things that you might have that that person does not have. You know, there's no perfect person. There is no perfect person. So be aware that you have that kind of attitude, because if you want to change something, it starts with awareness. It starts with awareness that something has to change. And then you need to say to yourself, stop it now. You need to stop it. Sometimes you need to say it out, to say, okay, stop. You want to be like this, oh, I wish I have this bag, or I wish I have this degree, or I wish I have, you need to say stop and focus. I gave you the scenario of the athletes running. Do not be distracted. Do not waste your time. So the moment you are aware, you need to stop and then focus on where you are going. Try to look at what your values are. Know your worth, and try to understand your own journey. Redirect, focus, and say, this is me, this is where I am now. I need to focus and put in more effort in achieving your goals, in achieving in going on the path that you want to be, in being the best version of yourself. Now, the other thing is you need to appreciate your strengths. I always say that instead of looking at the things that you are not able to do, focus on your strengths and be grateful. Be grateful for things that you have. Look at your strengths and work on your strengths. And look less at those things that you do not have. Sometimes we do this comparison unconsciously, but the moment we begin to focus on our strengths, you get distracted from looking at those things that you're not able to do. Life is not fair. Life is not fair. You know, our hands are not equal, you know. So if you have, there in this life, there are people that will be better than us. There are people that will be best, you know. We all cannot be equal. We all cannot have it, you know. And be grateful. Count your blessings. You need to count your blessings. You need to look at the things that you have that other people do not have, you know. So be grateful that you have life. Be grateful that you're able to breathe. Be able, you are able to, you have people that love you. You have kids if you do, that you married, you know. And stop looking at those pictures. Stop looking at those degrees. Stop looking at those businesses and focus on where you want to be. Spend time here. It's okay because sometimes comparison can be, sometimes some people use it as a measurement of where they want to be. So if you're comparing in that way, you need to use your own strength to your own advantage to the best you can. Don't brag about it. Yeah. Don't brag about your strengths. Because sometimes when you're bragging about your strength, it begins to look like you being on a high horse, and that doesn't last long because you soon calm down, and you calm down, and people will look at you and say, "Come down from your high horse." You know. So be grateful. Be grateful for what you have. Count your blessings. Count your blessings. And then the other thing I would like to also say is, do not bring people down. When you see people succeed, be grateful. Be thankful that they are able to achieve them, because when you are happy for them, you are happy as well. When you are happy for people that succeed, you are happy. Do not make yourself a slave to other people. And that's by making yourself unhappy, by making yourself miserable. Miserable because you're unhappy. You're creating enmity because you're looking at just what you can see on the surface and not looking at the whole picture. I think I saw somewhere, it was a picture of a flower. It does not look at the other flowers. It blows on. So you shine forth. Look at your strength and use it to shine. Do not bring other people down with your mouth, bad mouthing them because you're jealous, because you're envious. You waste so much time doing that, and the clock is ticking. The clock is ticking, and then you would never even achieve anything. You keep trying to be somebody else instead of being yourself. Now imagine if the successful people looked at other people, they are not the best version of themselves. Would you be able to celebrate them? And sometimes you see these people, they are happy, they have their own weaknesses, they have their own struggles. There are some things that they have that they do not have that you have. People don't come to say all this. Only very few people share their mess. People would not share their mess, like I said. So do not try not to bring people down. Try not to, because it's deceitful. It's not good. It's not nice. It is not nice. Be okay with your imperfections. Be happy with where you are. Sometimes when you find out that you're comparing yourself to others, you need to ask yourself, where was I 10 years ago? And compare it with where you are now. And then you be grateful. And then you can see that you're making progress. You cannot be like other people. You are you. And you cannot say, okay, this is Bola. You cannot be Bola, and Bola cannot be you. So you need to think of ways of being the best version of yourself, and think of ways of making the best use of your strengths. Celebrate who you are. There are many wonderful things about life, whether you're single or you don't have children, whether you're a businessman or a businesswoman, or you're a healthcare worker or you're a student, or maybe you're a good listener or a giver, a generous soul, or you have loved ones around you. You have much to celebrate, and you are entirely unique. Any comparison between you and another person is like comparing oranges to apples. They are different. They aren't living your life. When you compare yourself to people, they aren't living your life. You are. You are the one living your life. Therefore, you should expect the results to be completely different. Too often, we forget to see how far we have come. Sometimes when you find yourself comparing yourself with other people, look at your life now. Try and compare where you are now to where you have been maybe 10 years ago. And you would appreciate, you can see that you are improving, you're doing well, you're not the same person. Oprah said, be thankful for what you have. You'll end up having more. But if you concentrate on what you don't have, you never, ever have enough. So you need to shift the focus from what you don't have to what you have. Practice gratitude. You can do that by keeping a gratitude journal, or maybe use a gratitude app if that's easier. Whenever you find yourself comparing yourself or looking at what other people have that you do not have, remind yourself of what you are grateful for. If you have found this very useful, please do not hesitate to give it a thumbs up. Yeah. Like it, and then you share it with your friends, share it with your family, anyone that you feel compares themselves or is stuck in that circle of comparison and is miserable. Share this with them. And yeah, do not forget to subscribe if you're watching this on YouTube, so that you do not miss our future episode. And thank you so much for watching. Thanks for watching this till the end. I really appreciate all the time you spend watching my episodes and being part of this community. And I hope we can work together to achieve our goals, to answer those life big questions. And yes, I'll see you next week. This is Bola Adeyeye Omishade.